welcome to the four-time only show. Today I'm hosting the show because Bridget suffered a nervous breakdown and is now on vacation.
I hate my job! Why? Oh God.
Because of the Great Depression, we had a severe budget decrease at this show. Last week I lost my suit to a fight with a hobo. Oh well, what you gonna do? He cheated. We also lost our fancy table, a lot of the stuff back here, and apparently our pen budget as well. Folks, Franklin D. Roosevelt was nominated as a presidential candidate by the Democrats in 1932. A fifth cousin of the Rough Rider himself, Theodore Roosevelt, he was obviously their best choice for president. Insert joke here. Now, he ran on the platform of Hoover Depression assailants, a balanced budget and social, economical, and prohibition repeal. And, I mean, who wouldn't vote for a man who promises to make alcohol legal again, right? Where was I? Not only did he support prohibition repeal, but he also could miraculously remember what everyone else had tried so hard to forget: the poor. Now, or as he referred to them, the forgotten man. If you could remember what everyone else had forgotten, of course he was the best choice for president. He could remember to make everyone else forget, and I'm drunk. FDR ran for the presidency with slogans such as "Throw the spenders out" and "Out of the red with Roosevelt," and "Roosevelt is robust." Even though Roosevelt was robust, vigorous, manly, he was also born with infantile paralysis. But that didn't stop him from being able to kick Hoover's ass. Hoover ran with slogans that, well, they only increased the people's depression and their negativity towards him. Some of his were like, "It might have been worse," which was a slogan that definitely did not portray a jump up and go get him kind of attitude. Roosevelt, on the other hand, had a plan to get America back on track after the nation. Relief, recovery, and reform was what America needed to get back on its feet. How did this plan become set in motion? The election of FDR is the president in 1932 of the greatest nation on earth, the United States. Yes, he did win by a popular vote of 22-something million, and by an electoral vote of something. But in other words, Hoover was crushed by the exuberant and robust FDR. President Roosevelt's short-term goals were to provide relief and recovery to America. His long-term goals were to establish a permanent recovery and reform program for people. Everyone loved FDR so much so that it was said that even Congress, if FDR asked them to commit suicide tomorrow, would do it. Because everyone knows that a Congress that is dead is just as effective at their job as one that's alive. Nation, relief from the Washington to the poor families in need pulled the nation through the ghastly winter of 1933. But relief aid not only had been constantly supplied, but it had to be supplemented too. Dang those poor people, always relying on relief from the government. In the words of the famous businessman, aren't poor people only poor due to their own shortcomings, especially their own laziness? It's not like they have to support a family on minimum wage or anything like that. Now, some even go as far as to have multiple jobs. And while some may say that proves they're working hard to keep their families afloat, I call it job hoarding. How is it fair that the honest Americans get punished by those unpatriotic, communist, Marxist, Asian immigrant, anti-gun, socialist, Obamacare supporting, Satan worshipping, Muslim terrorists from the Middle East who just want to ruin the American dream for more outsourcing and sell America to China, who steal jobs from the pristine white men of this country? Well, back from this tangent. Folks, the appearance of various demagogues riddled this time. One notable demagogue was the microphone messiah himself, Father Charles Coughlin, a Catholic priest from Michigan who broadcasted his lengthy rants about the New Deal to his 40 million radio fans, who became so anti-Semitic, fascist, and demagogic that he had to be silenced. This is the threat that, you know what's dangerous to the American dream? Money distribution. And chances are, if you haven't heard, you've been living in a cave your whole life. In which case, you probably got there due to money distribution. And if you've been watching Fox News, I know I have, you know about Senator Huey P. Kingfish's Share the Wealth program, where he promised to make every man a king by giving $5,000. And if this wasn't bad enough, new reports tell us it will be at the expense of our abused rich friend H.L. Mencken. And now that brings us to our number one threat, socialism. Today, socialists are promising $5,000 to each family, but tomorrow they could be forcing businesses to pay for the health care of full-time employees, and it's only a matter of time until your little boy will have to pay the same amount for health care as a girl of the same age. It is no surprise that socialism will destroy capitalism and the American dream.
Are you a woman? Are you tired of this depression? Do you constantly breathe in dust? Well, if you answered yes to any of these questions, you may qualify for financial compensation. Call 1-800-BETTER-LIFE. We here at the Better Life Company think you deserve the best life possible. We have a team of lawyers on hand to help you with any of your problems. All you have to do is call 1-800-BETTER-LIFE. That's 1-800-BETTER-LIFE. Call today.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
As Roosevelt came into the presidency in 1933, his ideas were that of a progressive America. However, things got a little difficult when those 9 stubborn old guys wouldn't budge to new ideas. For example, the New Deal. The New Deal was the president's way of attempting to rid America of the Great Depression with a series of federal reforms, for example, providing jobs for the unemployed, Social Security, and further progression of labor laws. However, the Supreme Court members were like fossilized stumbling rocks stubbornly in the pathway of progress, as Roosevelt put it. Whoa, bro, hold up, come on now. Let's be fair here. I mean, sure they're all old and probably senile, but who can blame them? They're all almost 70 years old. Too bad Kesha wasn't around this time to help President Roosevelt out on this one.
Hey guys, I've been trying to help America progress, but you're not really open-minded about this.
What? Let me turn on my hearing device, Sonny.
And I have to use the bathroom.
Well, it seems like it's not getting through to you, so here's Kesha to help me out.
D-I-N-O-S-A, you are a dinosaur. D-I-N-O-S-A, you are a dinosaur. And O-L-D-M-A-N, you're just an old man.
Lord, help us. And young lady, how dare you show those knees?
Yeah, this might be the 30s, but you need to show some darn tootin' respect, miss.
But come on, guys, it's not like these guys were the only ones who worked way past their prime, right? Not like any past NFL players come to mind. Brett Favre. Oh, sorry about that. Something is in my throat. As I was saying, Brett Favre is super old. Poor Roosevelt, having to deal with these stubborn Supreme Court members, presented himself and the New Deal to them 9 times and was turned down 7 of them. But Roosevelt had sheer willpower to try again and again to sway the conservatives to see his desires of progression in our country. But the men were hell-bent on standing their ground against the New Deal. Roosevelt's new idea was to ask the Congress to grant permission that every old, unreliable dinosaur over 70 years old who refused to retire would add another man to the court. He did this to add fresh new young men to the pot. However, Roosevelt made a mistake. He lied. Roosevelt claimed that the Supreme Court was behind in their work and more men would help. This was proven to be wrong, and many accusations rose against Roosevelt. This was almost as terrible and publicized as when Kanye and Kim named their baby Northwest. During Roosevelt's presidency, the unemployment rate lowered from 25% to 15%. To put this in perspective, currently the nation's unemployment rate is at 7.3%. And these days, you can't get a job at your local Walmart without a master's degree.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
First off, my last name is pronounced Meyer, and I'm looking for a part-time job after school.
I see. And looking at your job application, I'm seeing you have no prior job experience.
Yeah, but I have over 100 volunteer hours, and I speak Japanese, so it's kind of cool.
Mr. Moyer, that will be a
Meyer.
problem. And can you tell me a little bit about your college history? You seem to have left this section blank.
That's because I'm still in high school.
Oh, Mr. Meyer.
Meyer?
Well, you see, there are many people who have been highly educated applying for this same position. You didn't graduate from high school?
No, I'm still in the 12th grade.
Yeah. I'm just not sure if this is the right place for someone with your educational background. And so, if you could just get on out of here, that would be great.
I applied to be a stock boy. This job requires no skill.
Well, I must say that I kind of disagree with you on that. Like I said, there are many people competing to be in this position, so if you could just, yeah, that would be great. You're great.
Those were the two sides of the New Deal campaign. Those for and those against. Those against claimed the New Deal was incompetent, confusing, contradictory, and cross-purposing, stating Roosevelt had done nothing, that an earthquake could not have done better. This seems a little unfair judgment, doesn't it? He was also known as the Jolly Improviser. On the plus side, however, under the presidency of Roosevelt, hundreds of thousands of jobs were formed in the federal government. By 1939, critics claimed that America was becoming a handout state, as citizens developed a concerning case of gimmies, not to be confused with the munchies, which I know a lot about because, this job is kind of stressful sometimes, and every now and then I just need to kick back, relax, and I need a peace pipe. Someone bring me the peace pipe, please. Please. Okay. Now, enough about me. The national debt in 1932 was at a record of 19 billion something dollars. Seems like a lot of money, right? Well, after hiring a crew of Harvard graduate mathematicians, all with PhDs that are totally real, we calculated, according to inflation today, that would be about $323 billion. Now, and some other stuff, which is about $5 billion less than America just spent a little over a month ago, raising our national debt to $17 trillion. Aren't we all proud? Republicans felt that if only the government would get off their backs, they'd be able to successfully take care of themselves and get out of the Depression. Doesn't that sound like something a person or party anti-Obamacare might say? Those who supported the idealism of the New Deal defended their stance based on the fact that by 1933, the worst of the crisis was over, and that the government was morally bound to protect hunger by managing the economy, as said Roosevelt in his promise that nobody's going to starve. Enough politics. Man, these topics are really boring. I don't get paid enough. Heck, I hardly get paid at all. In 1939, millions were still unemployed. However, don't worry, folks. My great-great-grandfather, John Hestian, I can talk about this, was making it by being an announcer of a popular radio series. Perhaps you've all heard of Mickey Mouse Theater Hour on the Air.
The Pepsi and Company presents Mickey Mouse with Minnie, Donald Duck, and all the gang. It's Snow White Day on Mickey's show. This afternoon, Mickey Mouse and the Pepsi and Company bring you all the characters from Walt Disney's first feature-length triumph, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And here's one of the hit tunes from the picture, played by Felix Mills and his orchestra.
Yep, that's my great-great-grandfather for you. And I'm sure he's very proud that I'm now the star of the four-time only show. I'm not quite as famous as, Jon Stewart or Nicki Minaj. With our 18 viewers and my classic good looks, I'd say that this show triumphs over History Faux Show. Overall, it was evident that Roosevelt provided America with a safe, feasible solution to the Great Depression. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a separation of powers built into the American system that is designed to prevent one person from having too much power, because it totally stops people from ripping each other off. Come on. Anyway, they realized that when a British king did things that did not work out too well by himself, that they needed to fix that. Gee, I wonder why. It's not like someone could tell a whole country to do exactly what they want, right? Well, maybe. Moving on. The Articles of Confederation made them realize that it is better if there's a centralized government. One that can work together and get things done. Too bad they were never actually able to make that happen. Each branch of government has its own responsibilities, but they all work together. It's like a family. The little kids clean, the father works, and the mother makes sandwiches. This is a good process to make sure the house runs smoothly, like the government when they try to make sure the country runs smoothly. Except the government does this through checks and balances. After the horrible aftermath of President Hoover's misstep with the U.S. economy, or rather a large misstep, the country had shifted. Due to Hoover's association with the Republican Party, a majority of Americans now felt a feeling of contempt towards the Republican Party. Because, yeah, one guy represents a whole group, and that makes sense, right? Of course. Of course, the Republican Party didn't help itself when they renominated the same guy for the 1932 election. That's right, Hoover, who had just screwed up everything, was set up for the race again. However, the shift from dominant Republican Americans to Democratic Americans assured that Hoover would be absolutely destroyed in the 1932 election. Yeah, the Electoral College votes totaled 472-59. Yeah, that's just like announcing you're going to run for class president, but instead of people voting for you, the bully just gives you a swirly in the nasty school bathroom. Not that I'm speaking from experience or anything.
Hello, I'm Herbert C. Hoover, and I'm running for the presidency. Now, some critics say that I started the Great Depression, but I didn't do that. And remember, well, it's just around the corner, but not that corner.
I'm so hungry! Vote for Roosevelt! You did this to me! You started the Great Depression!
Excuse me, can you please get off our set?
Back off! Back off!
Well, anyways, I'm Hoover, and I approve this message.
There was an attempt to combine immediate relief and long-range recovery and reform in America. This attempt was considered one of the most daring attempts of the New Dealers. The Emergency Congress, because we needed one apparently, passed the National Recovery Administration, or the NRA, not to be confused with the National Rifle Association. Now, this was supposed to assist industry, labor, and the unemployed. Can't these people just help themselves? I mean, I'm successful and I never had any help. Well, the help that Bridget had a little breakdown over there, but that's beside the point. Individual industries had to work out codes of fair competition amongst themselves. Fair. The amount of hours that someone could work was reduced so that people could get more jobs. That's not fair. I would hate to get my hours deducted. That means less money for me. So I have with me today a victim of the Dust Bowl who lives in Oklahoma and whose name is Farmer Joe Peabody. Farmer Joe, welcome to the show. Now, for those viewers that have been living under a rock for the last 80 years, could you explain what the Dust Bowl was and how it affected you?
Imagine weeks without rain, whining winds, and millions of tons of soil darkening the sun from Colorado to Missouri. This, my friend, was the Dust Bowl.
How did people react to the Dust Bowl?
We thought the apocalypse was coming. It was like Sharknado, but 10 times worse. Some people even thought it was the second coming of Jesus Christ. Amen. He is our Savior. Lots of people lost their land and had to move away.
Did you move away, or are you still living in Oklahoma?
I had to move in with my Puritan relatives. I hate my Puritan relatives.
Joe, are you doing anything fishy in there?
No, Auntie Clarissa.
You know alcohol's illegal, right?
Yeah.
Did the Okies all move in with their relatives? Where did they go?
They all moved to California. Oh, how I miss my homies.
There. Calm down. It's okay.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that's all for tonight's show. Tune in next time for the 5-time only show.